You are welcome to HN What's Your Say? The leading listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name, Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. The effects of the Chicago trial are finally beginning to bite in R. Kelly's favor. Hours before the final pretrial hearing, Daryl McDavid's legal team filed a motion indicating that Deag Godus is a potential witness in the Chicago trial, after presenting proof that the lead prosecutor of the R. Kelly case, the one who charged R. Kelly in the early days of the case, had communicated to the journalist about his book Solace, the case against R. Kelly. According to the submission, the prosecutor who goes by the name Cruel used a burner email, and the fake name Demetrius Levensky to communicate to Deag Godus, something that stirs up the case the wrong way. This kind of communication is a perfect indicator that there was a sort of conspiracy against R. Kelly, in which the government prosecution was directly involved. This matter was discussed at the trial hearing, but no conclusion was arrived at until the final trial hearing, when the Chicago judge made a number of rulings that would greatly affect the entire case against R. Kelly. Among these was the decision that information about R. Kelly case prosecutors be kept confidential, for fear of harassment by what they termed as radical fans. When it came to the issue of the burner email and fake name used by the government prosecutor, however, the judge gave the prosecution until end week to respond to this claim. Time and again we have published videos on this channel indicating that the case against R. Kelly is a mere conspiracy to have him locked up for the rest of his life. While we had so much evidence to support this theory, we did not have pinpoint information to back up our claims like this until now. Exactly what was the prosecutor intending to hide when she faked names and used a phony email address that would no longer exist after a short while? The use of a throwaway email leaves a huge dent on the credibility of the prosecution on this case. No legitimate communications are made with a disposable email. Only when the content is malicious, or is being sourced inappropriately, does someone do such a thing. According to reports, the feds turned over copies of an email correspondence between lead state attorney Angel Krull and Deag Godus, a former Chicago Sun-Times journalist who first wrote about the R. Kelly allegations, and that also published the book entitled Solace, the case against R. Kelly. Many may be wondering why this information is very important, and how it is likely to affect the case against R. Kelly. Well, here is what you need to know. Primarily, it is not the responsibility of the government prosecution to investigate individuals and source evidence to pin a suspected criminal, as it is solely the role of the police. Investigation leading to arrest and prosecution functions are separated primarily to protect citizens against the arbitrary exercise of power, either by the police or by the prosecution. Typically, government prosecutors base their initial charging decisions on the documents sent to them by the arresting authority, who in this case are the police officers, not fellow prosecutors. They do not base their initial charges on their own opinion of, or findings about the suspect. Prosecutors, however, under what is called prosecutorial discretion, can dig deeper into the suspect's past and criminal records, if any, to decide further on what to charge. Important to note, however, this is only possible after the police has arrested the suspect, and submitted what is called the police arrest report. In R. Kelly's Chicago case, the evidence of communications presented by Daryl McDavid's legal team indicates that the lead prosecutor was involved in a sort of inquiry about R. Kelly early 2019, months before R. Kelly's indictment. A cause to wonder what the government prosecution's interest was at that time, before even receiving any reports from the arresting authority. Given this information, one is right to conclude that the government prosecution could have initiated the case themselves instead of the arresting authority, and this could tantamount into a conflict of interest. Krull should not have engaged herself in both pre-arrest investigation functions and prosecution at the same time. And this is perfect evidence for prejudice, in a pre-planned move to take down the R&B King and his former employees. This is likely the reason Krull created a disposable email and employed a fake identity in attempt to pull this off undetected. It is said that in some of their exchanges with Deag Godus, he sent out a copy of his book about R. Kelly to the prosecutor. How much more could the prosecutor have accessed? We can only wait for more information. Deag Godus has come out to defend this claim against the entire Kelly prosecution, but his statements are just causing more damage to his camp, and making him indeed a potential witness on the case. All he is doing is compare this scenario to Kelly's 2008 trial, during which Deag Godus took the stand against him. In his own words, he said, "I don't think this means anything to the case. I think just like in 2008, the defense is trying to portray that there was this vast conspiracy against Kelly. Robert Kelly should be convicted because of what Robert Kelly did, not how it was unearthed," he concludes. Meanwhile, on looking up Kroll, it was found that she left the U.S. Attorney's Office back in 2020 and was nowhere to be found. How convenient. Just how does prosecution want to convince us that someone can be this hard to find? She needs to show up and give us the answers we are waiting for. According to Millender, "What I am failing to understand is why the judge was quick to rule on every other thing, such as the suggestion by prosecution that the jury remains confidential among other issues, but chose to take things slow and eventually ignore when confronted with this grave act of prejudice." Anyway, the appeal process is almost kicking off. And this is one of the issues that ought to be addressed. While the trial judges deliberately leave out important aspects of the case that do not favor their personal interests, the appeal judges are usually thorough and will leave no stone unturned. We shall not be surprised therefore when Kelly is acquitted due to some of these legal errors made by government in their effort to pin him down. According to Bobson, Kelly has had his rights violated at many instances throughout this case. Learning that there are even more violations of this nature is indeed shocking. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.